Oh, look, there's Bill. He's on the screen, but no, it's supposed to be me. I'm Randy Dean, the email sanity expert. Let me move myself here to balance myself with Bill. It's time for another espresso with the experts. So you know what? Let's get off the sharing and bring Bill in live. There he is.
Hi there.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, Randy. How about you?
Doing well. Now you're out in Seattle, correct?
I'm in Seattle. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah.
You're East Coast, right?
East Lansing, Michigan. So I'm a little bit toward the middle, but still on Eastern time zone. Yeah. We call it the North Coast up here. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
And my friends in Ohio call it the roller coaster.
I'm firmly planted in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I love it out there. Actually, my daughter was looking at a school up near Portland, but ended up going to UC Denver. So.
Oh, okay. Oh,
poor
Denver's
kid.
fine.
Poor kid.
I mean, she made the wrong choice, but
she actually
we all hit road bumps, and this is one of hers.
Yeah, I love it up there.
I blame the parents. It's just it's poor parenting, really, is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. We actually have done several vacations out your way, and have a couple friends that live up that way. I actually we hiked Hurricane Ridge across from St. Helens one time.
Yeah,
yeah, that was interesting, and we also went up to Vancouver Island, visited Victoria, and went to the Butchart Gardens.
Oh, Butchart Gardens, yeah.
Oh, wow, that was beautiful.
It was
late May, so everything was starting to open up, but it wasn't all the way opened up yet. Yeah. I would love to see it in June. I bet you it's just unbelievable
in June. Pretty spectacular.
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, though.
Nothing whatsoever.
Yeah, hopefully
I'm sure we can find a way to tie it in, but
yeah, hopefully people will make a visit up that way at some point. All right, you know the drill. I told you, it's coffee cup. Notice this one.
Is that a Game of Thrones?
I honestly attest I am up to no good. No, that's Marauders map.
Oh, it is the Marauders map. I'm getting a reflection. Yeah, Harry Potter. There we go.
Harry
the Marauders
Potter
map. There we
Mooney
go.
Padfoot.
Right.
Prongs and Wormtail. Yeah.
Right. Very, very cool. I love the Marauders map.
Yeah, isn't that fun? So let me see your cup. Tell me the story.
Well, mine is Almost Live, Comedy Central, 1992. So first of all, I had to dig up a coffee cup because I'm like the one guy who lives in Seattle who doesn't drink coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that.
So what I've got in here actually is what I've actually got is Diet Pepsi. I quickly poured my Diet Pepsi into the coffee cup.
What's so funny is it's late in the day, so I put my Coke Zero in my cup.
Well,
yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's not first thing in the morning, right?
Yeah. So for 15 years, I was the producer of this here TV show in Seattle. Almost Live. It was a sketch comedy TV show, and we were #1 in our time slot for 10 years. But got this, all the time we were on the air here in Seattle. Never had a cup. Didn't get a T-shirt. Got nothing. And then all of a sudden, Comedy Central came, and we were on Comedy Central for 2.5 years, and they gave us cups and T-shirts and sweatshirts. I've given away the T-shirts and sweatshirts, but somehow this has remained. This is my one bit of proof that, yes, in fact, we were on Comedy Central for a short time, 2.5 years.
So, 2.5 years isn't that short a time. That's not bad. Now,
and I'll tell you something, during those 2.5 years, we were I forget what time we were on, but Kids in the Hall were on immediately after us for that whole stretch of 2.5 years, Kids in the Hall. And towards the end of our run, Kids in the Hall were doing a tour of the United States, playing like theaters and things like that. And so they were coming to Seattle, and the promoter thought, oh, this will be cool. We'll get the Almost Live guys to introduce the Kids in the Hall guys, because hey, it's they're local celebrities, and they're the lead-in and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, that's good. Yeah, of course, we'll be happy to do that. We're fans of theirs. Yeah, that'll be cool. So we get to the theater. We're downstairs in the green room. Kids in the Hall guys haven't gotten there yet. And we thought this is gonna be fun. I mean, because both sketch comedy and we can talk shop and that kind of stuff. And eventually they filter in. Didn't have a clue who we were. Not a clue. None of them knew who we were. I thought, we've been your lead-in for the last 2.5 years. Did you ever tune in early? And it's like 2.5 years. You were never even curious enough to check us out. Wow. Okay.
That's wild. You'd think that they'd want to see the lead-in, because the lead-in helps determine their audience.
You would think.
That's crazy.
It was really crushing. I mean, here we had this whole image in our minds. This is going to be great fun, and we're going to be buddies and all that. It's like, okay, and who are you again? Oh, you do a show here in Seattle. Oh, nice. That's nice. Well, no, we're also on. Really? Okay, we're gonna have to check that out. I'm sure they never did.
Now you won some Emmys though, right?
I won a few Emmys. I won 29. I've got, you can see
29, just a few. Yeah, just a few.
Just a few. I've got 4 of them back there. And I've got a few more downstairs. I've given a few away. And then, about a decade or 2 ago, we had an earthquake here in Seattle, the Nisqually earthquake. And it wasn't, any great shakes of an earthquake by, international standards, but there was some damage. And I lost 10 of my Emmys in the earthquake.
Oh, wow.
They fell over, and it's a really poorly designed statue. The ankle is weak and the wings will break off, and that globe will break off. So I literally have a bag of broken Emmys in my garage. I always thought if I ever write my memoirs, that's the title. A bag of broken Emmys, the Bill Stainton story.
That would actually be an interesting title,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, when you have 29, then you can use them for holding down like your lawn bags in the yard when you don't want them to fly away. And
that's
29.
I do have one in my in my downstairs guest bathroom, and the reason I have one there is because I figured secretly everybody wants to have the I'd like to thank the Academy moment.
Their moment.
But they're too embarrassed to ask, so I put it in the bathroom. The door closes. It's private. There's a mirror. So. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Always looking out for others. I'm a giver.
Another thing you could do is if you wanted to be really fun, you could make that the hood ornament on your car.
I could do that. That's a good idea. Actually, it's not a good idea, but it's an idea. It's an idea. Not all ideas are good. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, actually, what a lead-in. We just hit the lead-in, I think. What nice segue there into. If you look back, let's go back here. I'm going to go back to screen sharing for just a second. If you look back at the cover slide, leveraging innovation to create competitive advantage. I pulled that right off your LinkedIn. And so
then it must be accurate.
I looked at that and I said, now that is a pretty cool topic. Can you tell me more? Because you also sent me an email, by the way, that said in part of it, innovation may not be what you think it is.
Yeah, that's correct. By the way, that email was supposed to be private, but what the heck? Now I'm gonna have to backpedal a whole bunch of. I've got to make some phone calls now. I'm in big trouble. No, it is. I mean, innovation is your competitive advantage. It is the competitive advantage. And I'll tell you why, especially during times of uncertainty, in case we're ever in times of uncertainty.
Yeah, it's been smooth sailing the last few years.
Pretty smooth, like glassy waters. That's exactly right. But do you know who I envied back in high school, Randy? It wasn't the quarterback of the football team. I didn't envy him. I did envy him actually, but the person I envied the most was the custodian, the high school custodian, the janitor. And I can tell what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, wow, Bill, aim higher. But I'll tell you why, and see if this resonates with you at all. Because the custodian had the master key that can open any door in the school. And I just thought that's so cool to have a master key that can unlock anything. And so so in thinking through what we've all been going through, these times of uncertainty, let's call it. But whatever. We don't know what's coming down the pike. We don't know what next year is going to look like. We don't know what next 5 years are going to look like. We barely know what next month is going to look like. Right. But is there a master key that can unlock any challenge, no matter what comes our way? Is there a master key? Is there a master skill that can get us through? And it's the ability to innovate on demand, the ability to innovate, because that means no matter what happens, that you can think your way out of it. That you can innovate your way through it. And research shows time and again that in times of crisis, the organizations, the companies, the associations, whatever, that that innovate come out better. And that advantage stays with them long after the quote unquote crisis is over.
Right.
It's that ability.
Well, I was just going to say, when I think of the companies that have thrived through the last few years, the ones that come to mind are, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Apple,
Zoom.
They have Zoom. Yeah. Interesting. Zoom has been a really interesting one to watch, because I was reading the other day that I can't remember, one of the big investment houses says time to buy your Zoom again, because it went way up because of the pandemic. Then it's come back down because they thought the pandemic was ending. But now what they were saying is, but here's the thing, that works well. And we're not going to go back to what we had before. It's going to be different.
Of course it will. And think about this. Zoom had to innovate really fast because Zoom was never meant to be all this.
Right.
They didn't design it for this. I read an interview with the guy who founded Zoom. He says, this is just supposed to be like, little, interdepartmental meetings and things like that. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and we went from something like 6,000 subscribers to 60 billion subscribers. My numbers might be off a little bit, but still. And they had to innovate. I mean, some people think, well, you have to innovate because there's a challenge or a crisis or a problem. Sometimes it's this huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And Zoom could have easily just crashed and folded and said, like, we can't handle this. We're not up for it. I mean, remember how Zoom is now the verb. Remember how Skype used to be the verb?
Yeah.
I mean, whoever's running Skype must be going like, what? Why not us?
Isn't Skype owned by Microsoft?
I think they are, but they were already established.
Yeah, and they missed it somehow.
They miss it because Zoom was able to innovate their way. Zoom saw the opportunity, or the opportunity was presented to them, and it took loads of innovation for them to be able to do what they're doing now.
Yeah, although coming back to Microsoft for a second, they put their eggs in the Teams basket, and Teams has done pretty darn well too.
Teams has done well. Yeah.
I think Zoom might be a little easier to use, but Teams has a lot of capabilities within it that even go beyond what some of the Zoom stuff is.
That's true.
So
very, very true.
Yeah.
But still, it is that skill of being able to innovate, and I emphasize skill because that's the mistake so many people make. They think that innovation is a gift,
right?
It's the lightning bolt that comes down and it only strikes the gifted few. The Steve Jobs and the Elon Musks and people like that. The guys who build the rockets.
Right.
That kind of thing, and that anything less than that doesn't count. That you're not really an innovator, and that absolutely is not true. Everybody has the ability to learn the skill of innovation. It's a skill. You do these things in this order and you're going to come up with innovative ideas.
It made me think, I don't know if you remember several years ago, Arkansas Razorbacks basketball, they had the good runs in the NCAA tournament. And they, the one year, I think they made it to the final, might've even won the championship. And they were talking to the coach at the time. And, they had like several squeakers in a row. They were just barely winning, but they kept winning. And he, the person goes, what do you think about all these close call games that you've had? And he goes, you got to be dang good to be this lucky. And it makes me think about what you're saying. There's an art, there's an art and a science to innovation is what you're saying. You mentioned steps. Tell me some of the steps. What are the steps to becoming a consistently good innovator?
Well, the first thing is to realize that that it's not the lightning bolt. I mean, trust me, as I told you, for 15 years, I produced this comedy TV show. Our job for 15 years, every single week, was to be innovative, whether we felt like it or not. Because we're gonna have a show this week. We have to invent something. It's like, it was basically a smaller version of Saturday Night Live. We're inventing a new show every single week. So we have to be innovative. And let me tell you something, when your paycheck depends on you being innovative, you can't afford to wait for a lightning bolt. And fortunately, that's not how innovation works. Innovation is not about a lightning bolt. Innovation is all about connecting dots, seeing two or more things that don't normally belong together and finding a connection, which, by the way, is also what comedy is all about too.
Yeah.
You make that connection. In comedy, we call it the punchline. In innovation, we call it the iPhone, the big idea. Yeah. It's about connecting dots, and we all have the ability to connect dots. Now, what are the dots? Well, they're experiences, ideas, people, every conversation we have, every place we visit. I see, obviously you've got a lot of maps in your background there. So clearly you're a traveler, or at least a wannabe traveler. And every place you go, that's another dot. Every podcast you listen to, every news show you watch, every conversation you have, every article you read, those are dots. You collect those dots. And all of a sudden you start collecting enough of those, and you'll start to find connections. It'll be like, you'll have this, oh, this reminds me of this experience. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. If you're collecting all the same dots that your competition is collecting, I call it, like, if you take a sheet of dots, I don't have them right here, but like Avery has these sheets of adhesive dots. So you can say,
oh yeah, the different colors and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If they're all 3/4 inch navy blue dots, okay, that's good. Okay, you've got a bunch of dots there, which means you can make a lot of connections. But the problem is, if they're all 3/4 inch navy blue, then all your connections are going to be 3/4 inch navy blue. And the problem is, let's say if you are if you're an insurance salesperson, chances are your competition, your other insurance salespeople, are collecting those same navy blue, 3/4 inch navy blue dots. So what you need to do is collect the different colored dots. Because, you connect a blue dot with a blue dot, you get a blue idea. You connect a yellow dot with a blue dot, you get a green idea. And that's when all of a sudden things start to happen. So you've got to be open for those yellow dots. You have to have those conversations with people that you wouldn't normally have a conversation with. You've got to listen to some music that you wouldn't normally listen to. You've got to read an article that you wouldn't normally read. And while you're reading it, while you're listening, while you're having those conversations, start thinking about, how can I apply this to my situation?
That's interesting. Now, I'm hearing a couple things here. One, sounds to me like in order for you to be successful, diversity matters. And we're not just talking like, skin color or gender.
No, but that's a part of it too. Mm-hmm.
It is part of it, but it's also background and culture and education and life experience. And all of that, if you get a mixed mess of that, so to speak,
right,
it's a fertile ground for better innovation right there. Correct?
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about this. You told me before we went on that your daughter almost went to college near Portland, Oregon, and then made a fatal mistake and didn't. There's a college, I don't know what college she was looking at, but there's a college down there called Reed College. Mm-hmm. Fantastic school. A lot of their graduates going to get their PhDs. Well, there was a guy who taught there, a guy named Robert Palladino. He was a Trappist monk. He taught a course in calligraphy. Okay, that's a weird, course. But one of the guys who happened to take his course was a guy named Steve Jobs.
Oh, wow.
Well, now Steve Jobs had other interests as well. He dabbled in computers with a friend of his named Steve Wozniak. When they decided to build their own computer, Steve Jobs, remembering that yellow dot, that course in calligraphy. Okay, think of this. Steve Jobs is a computer guy. You and I both know a lot of computer guys, especially back then. That's all they focused on. Mm-hmm. That's, they only took computer classes. They only read computer magazines. They only talked to computer people about computer stuff.
Right.
Calligraphy? Nah. But Steve Jobs had that yellow dot in his collection. So he could draw upon that. So when he and Steve Wozniak decided to build their own computer, Steve Jobs said, hey, what if we do a computer that could do calligraphy? And they invented the Macintosh, which led to Apple Computer, which became the world's first $1 trillion company. You never know which dot it is that's going to lead to the breakthrough. That's the point here.
Well,
that calligraphy class might not have meant anything. It might have just been a fun thing he did at some point. But all of a sudden the opportunity came up and he made that connection. That's where the innovation comes from. But had he not taken that course, had he not collected that yellow dot, that dot would not have been available to him. Yeah. So it behooves us all to have, as you say, a diverse range of friends, of interests, of learning, of knowledge, because you never know, all of a sudden your brain becomes this big matrix and this connects with that in a way. And if you've collected dots that the competition hasn't collected, that means you can make connections that the competition can't make.
Right.
And that's why it's your competitive advantage.
Well, but I would also think that it's only going to work if you have people that are empowered to step outside their comfort zone and it's a safe place for them to do just that.
It's a safe place for them to take risks.
Basically. Yeah. So they have to be comfortable getting out of their comfort zone, so to speak.
They do. And if you're a leader, you have to create that context.
Yeah.
Because it's not a natural place to be, especially in the workplace. I mean, everybody gives lip service to like, oh, we want you to take risks. Then you take a risk and you get slapped down for it.
Right.
Well, that's not a safe, I mean, we learn real fast, oh, it's not a good place to take a risk.
Right.
So, and there are ways to kind of modulate the risk. That's not the word I'm looking for. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but there are ways to kind of whatever. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Not so much minimize it, but control the risk and how much risk you're willing to take. As a leader, because you don't necessarily want to bet the farm on every idea, because not every idea is going to work out. Yeah,
well, it's really interesting you brought up Steve Jobs, because I read a quote from him the other day, and he said, it was something about you got to sort through all the really good ideas to find the great ones. Yeah. And then your success is going to be based on what you say no to also.
Yeah. And that's a real skill set of realizing which ideas to say no to, because when it comes to innovation and creativity, quality is a function of quantity. Mm-hmm. You come up with 100 ideas so you can come up with the one that's good, or 1,000 ideas so that you can come up with the one that's good. Here's what I would suggest for any team that's trying to come up with ideas. Come up with a lot of them, because most people, let's say they have either a challenge or an opportunity and think, okay, we need a solution to this. And they'll sit down around a table or whatever, either, in really or metaphorically or on Zoom or something. And they'll work until they finally come up with a solution. And then they stop. Like the first one is going to be the best. What are the odds of that? There's a book called A Whack on the Side of the Head. It's been out for 1 million years. By I think Roger Van Ock or something like that, about creativity. And he says, go for the second right answer. I said, the heck with the second right answer. Go for the 20th. Go for the when I do workshops and masterminds on this, there's an activity I do where people have to, I give them like 7 minutes or so to come up with as many ideas as they can for whatever parameter I've thrown at them. And what happened, and I divide them like teams of 5 to do this. And what I do is I listen, because when it starts off, you can hear the buzzing in the room. You can hear the talk and the chatter and the laughter, and it gets loud and it builds a little bit. And right around the 4 to 5 minute mark, there's this lull, because they've come up with all the ideas. And I just sit there, and then it starts to pick up again. And then after we're done, one of the debriefs I say is, how many of you experienced that? And most of them say yes. It doesn't happen all the time, but so, okay. So how many of you came up with ideas after the lull? Yeah. Did any of you come up with ideas that you think actually might be among the best? And there's no right or wrong answer, but usually there's at least a few hands. They say, there's your competitive advantage. Well, first of all, now you know what the creative process feels like, what the innovative process feels like. It's work, but you know what it's like. And also, your competition will stop at the lull, because the lull is when you think, okay, I've exhausted it. There, I've got no more ideas. Okay, keep doing it. So, even if you're sitting down by yourself, even if your team is just you and your philodendron, you sit down to solve a problem, or you're trying to come up with creative ideas or something, give yourself a number. Read an article, some unrelated article, and say, I'm going to find 10 ways that this article relates to my particular situation. Even if it, there might be none in here. It might be an article about calligraphy, and you're with computers, but give yourself that number, because otherwise you'll just okay, I'm done. That's not how it works. When it's done, you think, oh, but I only have 7 here, and I promised myself I'd come up with 10. Okay. So you force yourself to, because your brain will do the work if you force it to. If you ask it the right question and then make it work. And most of us don't do that because we get lazy, or we don't realize, we think, well, it's a lightning bolt and it's just not striking.
Yeah.
That's a convenient excuse, and that's not how it works.
Yeah. So there's work, there's process, there is procedure that can allow you to make innovation happen much more frequently,
right,
with much higher output potentially.
Yeah, and it gets easier the more you do. The more your brain starts to realize, oh, we're doing connections, are we? Okay, because most of us don't make connections in real life because we don't have to. Back when I was writing comedy, working on the show, I also wrote monologue jokes for the Tonight Show. This is back when Jay Leno was doing the Tonight Show, and I would actually fax him jokes every morning. That's how long ago this was. But I would fax him at least 20 jokes every morning. And when I first started doing it, it would take me like an hour maybe to write those 20 jokes. By the time I finished, I mean, after, a few weeks of doing that, and I was good at writing jokes, because I've been doing it anyhow, but it got to the point where I could write 20 jokes just about in about 20 minutes or 25 minutes. I would read the newspaper, physical news, and as I'm reading, I'm writing the jokes, because your brain just knows, okay, well, this is, and you write the jokes and you fax them. So basically, I could write 20 jokes pretty much in real time, and by and large, they were better than the ones that took me a longer. Again, just because I was practicing it.
Yeah.
We all get better at that. Like, do you have to, like, when you're driving a car, do you have to think about where the brake pedal is anymore?
No, that's funny you bring that up. My youngest just got her permit.
Oh, and should I offer congratulations or condolences?
Exactly. Yeah, so she's still doing the foot on brake, that whole,
right,
steer,
right.
And
right.
you
the
don't
turn
realize.
Signal?
Yeah, and she was like getting a little like, I'm really bad at this, and I said, you'll get better. Yeah, I mean, I can see you can walk.
Yeah, well done there.
You didn't give up on that, so don't give up on this. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. So. It does get easier. It is not. I talk about the lightning bolt that comes down, strikes the gifted few. We are all the gifted few, all of us, and that's just a mindset thing. You just have to realize that we are. Look, we all have this ability, and we don't. We shouldn't have this mindset of, well, I'm just not creative. In fact, we have a creative services department. Ask them, because I'm not an idea person. I don't have a good imagination. It's like, stop that. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Of course you are. You have the ability. We all have the ability. And it's also valuable. I mean, my definition of innovation is turning creativity into money.
Yeah. I noticed that was your other tagline. Yeah.
Creativity is coming up with the ideas. That's the fun part, and that's easy. But then, okay, as you talked about, like, how do you weed out what out of all these ideas? Now I've got 100 ideas. What are the one or two that I should pursue that are going to lead to money? And money could be anything of value, like, saving time, making money, whatever. It doesn't have to be like, money, but it certainly can be money.
Yeah. This is fantastic. Now, you mentioned you do workshops and stuff. Can you tell me a little bit more about the kinds of things that you're doing for your client groups? What kind of groups are you normally doing work with? Is it mostly corporate, or are you doing like governmental, educational? Where are you working with?
When I'm doing workshops and masterminds and things like that, it's mostly corporate. I also do keynotes. I mean, keynotes is probably what I do primarily. And now that I don't know when people are watching this, but we're kind of coming back to where in-person is coming back a little bit. So I'm getting on airplanes more and doing keynotes, and those can be associations. Those can be, big corporate groups, anywhere from, several hundred people to several thousand people. But then if they want to go deep, and I do a lot of this work with teams within corporations, or if it's a small corporation, a startup that's like got some juice going for it, and they want to make sure they keep that juice going. One of the things I found that, like, startups who have achieved some like initial success, a lot of them have in the back of their mind, like, their fears that maybe they're going to be a one-hit wonder. Like, they had a great idea and they made some money, but now what? Well, you can keep it going. Again, so so I'll do anything from popping in for 20, 30 minutes on a Zoom if they have like their weekly team meeting. A lot of people bring me in to pop in for like a 20 or 30 minute innovation shot in the arm. And innovation, like I call it like a little innovation jam session where I'll give them like 1 or 2 techniques, let them work on a little bit, make them feel good, like, oh wow, okay, yeah, we actually can do, okay, we know how to do this. Well, that at least gives them the experience, and it can go anywhere from that to a half-day workshop to a 90-day intensive.
And I would assume that you've probably done quite a bit of like guided brainstorming and stuff then too, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And there are techniques about brainstorming. I'm sure you've read some of this stuff, Randy, when people say, well, brainstorming doesn't work, which is yes and no. Traditional brainstorming doesn't work. Like everybody sitting around a table and tossing out ideas doesn't tend to work. And there are a number, we don't have time to go into that, I don't think now, but there are a number of reasons why that doesn't work. That doesn't mean that brainstorming itself is a bad idea. There are just better ways to do it than most people realize. And so when I can sit down with a team, either virtually, because we've had to learn how to do everything virtually, and this absolutely does work virtually, or in person. If I can sit down with a team for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and we can actually put some of this stuff to work, it's amazing what people who don't think they're creative will come up with. It's absolutely amazing. And it all starts with just asking different questions. It's not that difficult. It's hard work at first because again, our brains aren't used to doing that. It's like when you first start, lifting, curling dumbbells, you can only do like 15, 20 pounds. Okay. But eventually you can do more reps and more weight because, you've developed this muscle.
Yeah. And so you're helping them develop their innovation muscle.
I'm helping them develop the innovation muscle. And it's such this feeling when all of a sudden you see people, you see the light bulb.
The light bulb. Like, yeah.
I can do this. Oh, so this is what it is. See, that's the whole thing. They just don't know what it is. They think it's magic. They think the innovation is magic. Like it's like what the movie Amadeus. It's like, oh my God, it's a gift from God, and we don't have. And all of a sudden they realize like, oh, this is what it is. Well, I can do that. Yeah. That's just like yes. My work here is done.
And see, it's so funny. I think you just hit all of us that I think do the whole, professional speaker on stage workshop leader thing. That's the moment we're always looking for. We want to see that person or that group go, oh, and when you hit that, you just I just hit the home run right there. There it is.
Absolutely. It's the greatest feeling in the world. Yep. It's the greatest feeling when you see them. I don't have kids, but it must be like when your kid first, when your infant first realizes that, oh my goodness, this is my hand and I can control it, or I can walk, or I can, oh, that's me in the mirror. Oh, that's, those, when you just see
I can drive my parents crazy. Hey,
that's
what a skill.
That's right. But it's the greatest, people think that we live for the standing ovation. Look, standing ovations are nice and they're ego builders. Yeah. But the real high is that moment that you just described. Yeah. When you see them like, oh. Yeah. That's the fun. I think that's a perfect place for us to cut this thing off. We could talk all day. Let me go back into my screen sharing here real quick, because what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of Bill's contact information here. So there's his email, there's his LinkedIn. We were talking, it's sort of funny. As we were filming this, I was showing him that there was a minor issue with the website. As soon as you got that fixed, we will put the website link in the comments, okay? So we'll get the website link in the comments. And Bill, if there's anything like any little, I don't know, like PDF or anything like that you might want to share with the viewers, send it to me and I'll also add that. I do have one which gives, I believe it's like five techniques if you need an idea right away.
Excellent. Like, that sounds great.
An opportunity or a challenge. I've got a cheat sheet on that. It's actually like about a 7-page cheat sheet. I'll get that to you, Randy.
Yeah, if you can get that to me, I'll make sure that we can get it linked so that the viewers can get a hold of that. And This was
Although
wonderful.
it lives on my website, so I have to get the website fixed first.
Yeah, get the website thing fixed.
Right.
I'm hoping it wasn't my browser that was the problem, but
I don't think it was, but I'll figure it out one way or another.
Sounds good. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut off this episode. But thanks for being a wonderful guest, and definitely looking forward to running to you on the road again at some point. We actually met, was it 3 or 4 years ago? And we were speaking at that, I think it was a speaker showcase, if I'm not mistaken. But
it was a speaker show. Was that for Midwest or was it
Midwest? Yeah, I think Midwest, it was out in Iowa.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah. So, and ever since then, I've been following Bill's work, and I think he's just a wonderful resource for many of you. So if you're looking to step up that innovation muscle and start building it better, even with people that think maybe they're not that innovative, I think I got a resource for you right here. So, and with that, I'm going to say thank you for your time. We'll close this thing off. I'm Randy Dean, the Email Sanity Guy. You can learn more about me on my website, randalldean.com. If you're liking these videos, please give it a like, please subscribe, and please add comments. I would love to start seeing some more comments on this. Obviously, I'll also be putting these out on my social nets like LinkedIn and my business Facebook page. And if you want to get my PDF tip sheets on how to be more productive with your time, email, and related technology, send me an email, randy@randalldean.com. Just put YouTube PDF in the subject line, and I'll give you a lot of stuff to maybe make you more innovative with your email.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, so I saw what you did there.